After struggling with depression, Shelby Kane took his life at age 23. Back in the year 2009, following his death, his dad, Mark, decided he wanted to honor his son's life by connecting with others to bring more awareness to the prevention of suicide. Shelby's Way of the Bluegrass, a nonprofit organization created by Mark, was founded not only to educate and inform families about suicide prevention, but the group also provides support and even raises money to help families who have lost loved ones due to suicide. The Hot Rod Hullabaloo, which is a vintage car show held in Lexington each year, brings together hundreds of car lovers of all ages, and it's just one of the many ways that Mark helps keep the memory of his son Shelby alive because they both shared a common bond over vintage cars.
I think you don't want to try and do it alone.
Norm Algram says that he is not only the proud owner of a 1931 Ford Model A coupe, but he also lost a family member of his own to suicide recently, and says being around others like the Kane family who have experienced similar tragedies helps in the coping process.
You should get in a support group or some people that can help you or talk about it anyways, because that's the worst thing people do, they hold it inside and they never let it go. So you really need to do that. But I'm familiar with Mark's son and that his older son, and I just feel like that he's really made his life be about this, to help people. And he does a lot of good. And later in the year, we do a blanket run down to Frankfurt to the Home for Unwed Mothers and take supplies and materials and things for them, soap and shampoos and things for them, and blankets and whatever they need. And he donates all that. And they seem real pleased with that.
Welcome back to In Focus Kentucky. September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and on today's episode we'll focus on suicide death rates across Kentucky and also veteran suicide awareness. And joining me now is State Representative Regina Huff of the 82nd District, which covers part of Laurel and Whitley counties. Thanks so much for joining us here on In Focus Kentucky.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And take us through House Bill 30, when you initially decided to pre-file that. Why was that important to you to want to get this on the books?
Well, as a legislator, I want anything that's crafted in my name to be substantial and have substance. And after looking at the statistics with suicide and children, I wanted to have something crafted that would help teachers to be confident in their assessment of those that may be suicidal or thinking. So I wanted tools in the toolbox. So in the beginning, what I did was I asked for 2 hours of interactive suicide prevention training per year for teachers that would be built into the 24 hours that we already have, so there would not be any unfunded mandates or anything like that to the school systems. And in fact, there's lots of programs out there that have been funded and by parents of students that have taken their own lives to raise awareness. So there's lots out there that's available free of charge. So I wanted teachers to be confident when they would be able to approach the subject with parents, to be ready to say, I have this training, I've witnessed this type of warning sign. So that was my objective. So House Bill 30 began at that grassroots with the 2 hours of interaction.
And did you receive any feedback from people in your district about this particular topic, this issue, and just the importance of wanting to get this expanded?
I did. Before, anytime that I craft a bill, I go outside into the district to the people that it's going to affect. And I talk to some of the guidance counselors and those that would be implementing and working in this area with the students and with the teachers. And, everyone was on board for, just the statistics alone. You cannot deny that this is something that's needed. So I did have positive feedback within my district.
And let's talk too about your fellow colleagues and legislators in Frankfurt. The bill passed the House and Senate without any issues there. So a lot of support from your fellow colleagues down in Frankfurt, correct?
There was a lot of support. However, what did pass was not the initial pre-file bill. There was some concern regarding, the teachers' time and, of course, funding again. But we had that sort of built into the bill, so that was a little bit frustrating. But what we did pass was 1 hour every other year of interaction, face-to-face.
Now, any plans for potential other legislation in regards to suicide prevention awareness, or that you'd like to maybe introduce in the future at all, or that you think is needed?
Right, I don't think that what we have done is near enough. I think we need to revisit this because statistics alone, I think in last month, when I think you shared with Bethany's story that we had 3 suicides in our district alone on one weekend time frame. So it is something that needs to be out there. It is sort of a taboo subject. There is stigma to it, and that's why the teachers need to be confident when they're approaching a parent, because they need to have some backing and training that allows them to be confident when approaching the subject to a parent.
And we just mentioned Bethany, and obviously the being able to speak out and reaching out to people who are in need of support. Kind of what advice would you give to viewers that watch this that have concerns or don't know where to start when it comes to the discussion of suicide prevention and awareness?
I think that we all need to just open up and be free to speak about the subject, because and we can't make a difference until we start talking about it. And we also need to make students aware, to train the students too, because they are, they're with the other peers face to face 6.5 hours a day, and that's why I wanted to have the teachers, was because they have more interaction than parents do, throughout the day. The kids get home, parents are busy, the kids are busy. So I wanted teachers to be able to focus on the stigma of it and be able to come forth with it too. And I think until we start talking about it, we're not going to be able to make change and to get children comfortable talking about it, and adults for that matter.
And when you started diving into the facts and figures and the numbers for Kentucky, was it alarming, to see how high Kentucky ranks when it comes to suicides and the different age groups and demographics?
It was alarming, and I've been a teacher for 20 plus years, and I had no idea that the statistics were as they were when I started, to looking into and researching the project. It was quite alarming, and I thought that if I can do anything in this venue, in this area, to just raise awareness and to get people talking and to get teachers interacting. And teachers usually work in teams, so what one teacher may notice and not say anything about, this will give them time, the tools to talk about it and to see, well, I've noticed that as well. And they can collaborate and share the knowledge that they have and the observations that they've made.
Do you plan to have any other awareness type events or conversations in regards to this particular topic?
Yes, we do. In our district, we have 2 walks that are this weekend coming up and the next weekend, and they're in honor of Bethany. And I will be leading the 1 mile walks, and it's just to raise awareness and to share her life, because I think that if we can do anything in her honor. She was an amazing individual. Just, I can't stress to you enough the bright star that was, put out when Bethany made the decision that she did. And we can't change that, but we can change the future, and we can allow her light to continue to shine. And that's what we'll be doing with those walks this weekend. And they're also having a horseback ride in her honor, because she loved horses and just animals in general. So there's a lot going on in our district just in her honor.
Well, Representative Huff, we thank you so much for joining us here on In Focus Kentucky and talking about House Bill 30, which is now law, and also the work that you're doing to address suicide prevention in your district.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Now, coming up, we'll speak with a group that is advocating for disabled veterans by fighting for the right to seek health care outside of the VA and prevent veteran suicides as well. That's next, right here on In Focus Kentucky.